Okay, so today we are taking a look at Siren's Call Travel Agency and doing a website review to let Chauvin, the owner of Siren's Call, know some things that she could do to help her website work a bit better. So let's go ahead and start here at the top. First of all, we have this main heading, Start Your Journey with Siren's Call Travel Agency. So when somebody comes to a website for the first time, we need to draw them in. We need to create a sense that there's something here that they want to know more to go further. And that heading, I'll be honest, doesn't really do that. I like the idea of start your journey, but the heading overall isn't compelling me to action. But if you continue reading, you see this subheading, and it says Reclaim Your Wild, where adventure ignites and memories are made. I love that. That copy right there is gold. But what I would recommend is actually making that your main heading. So when I come to this site and I see this beautiful graphic of what looks like probably the Tetons and this rustic barn, and you put the copy with it, Reclaim Your Wild, that gets people thinking. That compels them to action. So I would go ahead and just make that quick, easy change and just flip flop those two sections to really draw the eye to this line of copy. From there, we have this schedule your consultation button, which is great. You always want to have an easy call to action that tells people exactly what they need to do next. And you've done that. You say schedule your consultation. Um, One thing that I did notice though is that up here in your menu bar, you have a contact me, which means right off the bat, without even meaning to, you have potentially confused your website visitor, because now they have two options of things that they could do, and that decreases the chance that they do either one. So I would recommend bumping your menu bar over to the left, and then right up here in the right-hand corner, take off the Contact Me and just create a copy of this Schedule Your Consultation button and pop it right up there into the menu so that they know exactly what to do. So let's scroll down. I did want to say this is a beautiful website. I love the pictures that you've chosen. They work really well with the layout. Um, Really, really nice, pretty design. So I love that. Okay, so we call this below the fold. So the first thing that you come to when you start scrolling down is a paragraph. And it says, Escape the ordinary, craft your own dream Western escape. And I'm going to recommend that you rework that sentence a little bit. I like escape the ordinary. Um, but when you say, as a travel advisor, craft your own dream Western escape, that opens up the potential of questions in a visitor's mind. So, are they crafting it? Are you crafting it? If you tweak it just a little bit to let's craft your dream Western escape, that is a little clearer. Okay, we're going to work together and create exactly what I'm looking for. So I just do a little bit of tweaking on that sentence. So then we get down to this paragraph, and it's too small. The font itself is actually a little bit hard to read. I'm on a laptop and I have to lean in to read it. So I would recommend making that font a bit bigger, just so that people don't have to struggle to read it. Then let's get into the copy a little bit. So you say, unwind and let your travel dreams unfold with a dedicated travel agent by your side. My meticulously crafted bespoke tour packages designed by an expert travel agent. So let's pause right there. So you say, my meticulously crafted, and then you say designed by an expert travel agent, which you've just switched back and forth between first person and third person. So I would make that consistent. Um, so something along the lines of my meticulously crafted bespoke tour packages um, that I design meticulously crafted bespoke tour packages. Something that doesn't have you switching back and forth. Um, you also have capitalized bespoke tour packages, which makes me think that is a specific service offering. If that's the case, I would suggest making that a link so that somebody can click through and see what exactly that bespoke tour package is, if they are interested. Otherwise, if that is not a specific service offering, I would make it not capitalized so that it's just part of the sentence. No detail escapes my attention. Um, Again, relax and let your travel agent handle everything. Relax and let me handle everything. But then you go from that to we. So, one of the things I see a lot is advisors have a hard time deciding, should I say we and make it sound like there's a team, or should I say I and me and maybe accidentally make them feel like, oh, this is just one person. Are they really able to handle this? So there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to using my or we. The right answer is just to be consistent. So I would go ahead and rework that, just for consistency. Whether it's first person, third person, me, we, just keep it the same throughout. Going just a little bit further, you say, for an elevated travel experience, let your travel agent provide concierge level service. Again, capitalized, which makes me think probably a specific service offering, which, if that is the case, again, go ahead and make that a link to a services page where you actually outline what that service is. Again, you have repeated your call to action, which is great. You should repeat that multiple times down your page. So then we head down and we have this section where you have these three strips, which I both love and don't love. So I love the design of them. They're beautiful. I love the graphics that you've picked. Um, they look really good. The problem is that it makes it feel like it's the bottom of the website. And I can tell just from my scroll bar on the side, we're nowhere close to the bottom. So I would suggest moving these down because you have a lot of things underneath them that are a lot more valuable. So don't take up, this is still prime real estate. Don't take it up with something that's not really giving you a return on that investment. Another thing you could do with these, if you do move them down, is actually make them into links. So internal linking from one page of your site to another is really important when it comes to search engine optimization, or SEO, because it helps Google and other search engines know basically the flow of your website, what goes where, how it all works. So if you can turn these into links, maybe you have a section on road trips that you could actually link that to. You could link this concierge level service to a services page, booking and reservations. You might want to tweak that a little bit and find words that would naturally link to another page on your site, um, to let people know, hey, go here to find information about this. So that's what I do with that section. So then you have this services page. or services section, which I like. You tell exactly what you do: national parks, dude ranches, adventure tours, road trips, all really interesting niche things that a lot of advisors don't know that much about. So the fact that you do and that you've niched down to this, if that's what I'm looking for, I want an advisor that knows it. So this is really good for helping find that client that's looking for these services. But each of these, if you click on the link, will actually take you to the contact page, which I would not recommend. So what I, as a consumer, as a shopper, am looking for on a section like this is to get more information. So each of these ideally would link to a specific page where you can go further into national parks, into dude ranches. Maybe you have blog posts linked to those blog posts about those things linked onto that page. You can create copy around each of these topics that is optimized for SEO, that has keywords integrated, and that you can rank on Google for. So by moving this into a services page where you outline the services for each of these types of trips, you're going to get a lot more value from those pages than from just having these here and linked to your contact page. So then we scroll down and we hit this paragraph that says, ditch the planning, embrace the adventure. And just reading through this copy, I get the feeling you're trying to rank for specific keywords. Probably Western travel agent, words like that that someone would type into Google and hopefully your site would come up. Unfortunately, there isn't enough of them used throughout your site for that to work. Maybe that's not what you were trying to do at all. I'm not sure. But if it is, I would recommend doing some additional keyword research. And instead of trying to put them into a paragraph like this, actually work them throughout your site. As far as the paragraphs themselves go, I actually like these paragraphs better than what you have further up the page, and I would recommend switching the location of the two. One part of this that I really like is this sentence right here. From sunrise hikes to cowboy cookouts, my expertise paints your adventure with unforgettable brush strokes. That is really good, vivid copy. And you want to use that in a place where more people are going to find it. So I would just switch these two sections and put this one up top. I would also add an extra space here so that you don't have basically one gigantic block of text, break it into two smaller blocks. And then you have your schedule your consultation button, which is great. So then we head down and we get to the process. So you have a 3-step process, which is very good. I do recommend spelling out to a potential client exactly what they can expect. And a process outline like this is a really good way to do it. So step 1 is let's chat. I would change that a little bit. I would actually say schedule your consultation. Let's chat and see if we're a perfect travel planning match. And then make that the words schedule your consultation, actually make that a link. So you can have your button down here, but you can also link to it in the text. Step 2, you pick a plan, I craft your perfect itinerary. I don't know what you mean by you pick a plan. So I would suggest changing that a little bit. If you have different types of planning services that they need to choose between, I would link to them here. But something you pick a plan isn't specific enough to tell me what I'm going to do in this step. So it's very easy for you to lose somebody right here. And then step 3, love it, secure your spot with a deposit. So putting love it with a question mark like that um, opens up the possibility that consciously or subconsciously, someone visiting your site says, but what if I don't love it? So instead of leaving them to ask that question, you want to go ahead and address it um, by saying something along the lines of, we refine your itinerary until you love every part of it. Um, we work together to craft the perfect trip that you'll love. Something along those lines, that it's not love it question mark. And then you tell them that they'll secure the spot with a deposit. So I definitely do a little reworking right there. Then we scroll down a little bit farther and we get to this. I love this quote. I've always loved this Tolkien quote. Absolutely love the graphic that you put with it. It's very pretty. Again, prime real estate that this might not be the best way to use it. I would suggest, again, moving this more to the bottom of your site or even to the bottom of another page on your site, whether it's a destinations page, your services page, something where it's not taking up such prime real estate. Because then once you scroll past that, then we get to you. So you have a picture here, which is great. Always include a picture. And then a bit of your story, which I read through this. It's a great story. Definitely needs to be on your website. One thing I would do is go ahead and put an extra line in between each paragraph so that it's not one big block of text. People tend to skim, they don't read every word, and that just makes it easier for them to get the flow of what you're saying. So, one thing with this section, if we take a look at your menu here, there's no about in your menu. Usually, the about page, other than the home page, is the next most visited page on a site because people want to know who they're working with. So you have two options. One would be to go ahead and take this off of your homepage and to drop it into an about page. Go ahead and link that up here. And then you can just do a brief introduction, say, my name is Siobhan, find out more. The other option is to use an anchor in your menu, which this is a Wix website, and Wix has the ability to create menu items off of anchored text. So you would actually want to create an anchor on your headline here and then drop a menu item that links to that anchor so that when somebody clicks it in your menu, it just basically zooms them down through the site to this about section. Again, great information. Definitely keep it. We can just format it so that it's a little easier for people to find. Then we get down to the destinations section, which again, you don't have destinations in your menu, but I would recommend that you add a destinations page. An overall page that has a little bit of information about each of these destinations, and then sub pages where you can put a lot more very keyword SEO focused text about each of these that you can build it out so that more people can find your website. So then we get down, we're almost at the bottom, we get down to the testimonials, which you've probably heard that testimonials are important, and they are. I would be careful with these because they actually aren't specific enough. So this first one is, thank you, I never in my wildest dreams could have planned all that stuff. That's fine in an email, but the point of a testimonial is to have someone else read it and feel reassured, feel confident in your ability to create something similar for them. So, because they use the words all that stuff, I have no idea what this is. So as a potential client, this doesn't really have value as far as a testimonial goes. If this client is somebody that you know, you can always go back to them and say, hey, like specific testimony is really helpful. Is it okay if I expand this to say, I never could have planned this epic dude ranch vacation or whatever it is that you planned for them, um, just to make it clear. The next one, awesome job planning a girl's trip to Vegas. Not exactly the niche that you have identified all the way through your site, which can leave a reader a little bit unsure and they may not know why. Um, but it's because the testimonial isn't directly linked. Yes, Vegas is in the West, but it's not directly linked to the type of travel that you have spent the entire website talking about planning. Same with the third one. Like you plan to cruise to Bermuda, that's great. It's wonderful that they are happy with it, but Bermuda isn't one of the destinations that you have called attention to. So I would recommend, if you don't have direct testimonials related to the destinations in your niche that your website is about, leaving off testimonials completely until you have some. Um, just because they can create more questions than they answer, and there's no benefit to you in accidentally creating questions in the mind of a potential client. Um, Last thing here, you have an opt-in free ebook, Top 5 Dude Ranches for Unforgettable Family Adventures, which sounds like a lot of fun. My guess is, looking at the rest of the site, you probably don't get a lot of opt-ins through your website for this, because my guess is that you're not getting enough traffic to the site for this to convert well. I could be wrong, but if you're not seeing a lot of conversions, it's probably not because of the opt-in, it's just because of the traffic. And then we have our footer down here. One quick thing to note, you have Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Etsy down here. Those are not live links. So if you're going to put those icons in, I would go ahead and link each one to that site so that people can click through and see what you put up. So that is it for the home page, but let's go into a couple of these other pages real quick. First of all, we have our services page, which you've made reference on your homepage to a couple of what look like different services, but none of them are mentioned here. So I would recommend, for your services page, especially since, let me get back to your homepage real quick. So you had a services section right here. And these are the services that you say you provide. I would actually change your services page to be an overview of the types of travel that you plan for, and then subpages under it for each of these to go into more detail. Because on your services page, you talk about your schedule of services, which it is important to let people know what they should expect. I would also put the plan that you have, that 3-step plan. I would include that again on this page as well. You can never guarantee that somebody scrolled through the site far enough to find it, so this is a logical second place to put it. But actually, this last bullet point caught my attention. While traveling, you'll receive regular check-ins and 24/7 support, even if the concierge is unavailable personally. I would be very careful with that, because at this point in your sales funnel, in the process that a potential client is going through to become a client, you don't want to mislead, but at the same time, you don't want to create doubt. And by specifically saying, even if the concierge is unavailable personally, that actually undermines the idea of 24/7 support, which I'm sure was not your intention, but I would take that off. This last section, I would not put anything about that. Then we get down here and we get into some very specific nitty-gritty things. So fees, that's great that you are very upfront about your fees. Airline tickets, travel insurance, and then you start spelling out your cancellation and change fees. And your services page is probably not the place to do that. This is information that I would put on an FAQ page, even one that like they can click on a question and the answer expands. So if they have a question of, well, what happens if I need to cancel or change my vacation? The answer is there, but with this much detail, um, it can be overwhelming, first of all. And second of all, it can come across as nickel and diming. So important information to have, not necessarily the place that you want to have it. And then I see that you do have your terms and conditions here. So normally when terms and conditions are on a website, they are website specific terms and conditions. So things like by using this website, you agree X, Y, and Z. We can collect cookies, yada, 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 that type of thing. But they are specifically related to the website itself. But if I click on these are actually, there, come on, just a second. It doesn't want to click on them now. There we go. If I click on these, this is actually your service agreement. So unless an attorney has told you otherwise, this is my not an attorney disclaimer, unless they've told you otherwise, these do not have to live on your website. If you use a program like TravelJoy or Turn, these are terms and conditions that you want to have linked to specific supplier items that you want to have as part of your credit card authorization, things like that, but not things that need to be on your website itself. Nothing wrong with having them, but when someone's talking about website terms and conditions, those are actually a website specific terms and conditions. So these terms and conditions probably don't cover you the way that you think. So just something to think about, maybe talk to your attorney about whether or not you need website specific terms and conditions. Then let's head over to the contact page. So we're almost at the end of what we'll take a look at today, but let's go into the contact page just a little bit. First of all, I can see that you use Calendly, which is great. I love it when people can just schedule a call and make it simple. My one issue with Calendly is this huge banner that they put on every scheduler. It covers up everything that you want someone to see, and if they don't close it, they basically can't see what you want them to. That's part of the reason I don't normally use Calendly. I actually use Acuity most of the time, or if you use Turn for your itineraries, they also have a scheduling functionality that you can not have this gigantic thing that you have to close. So you have a Calendly link that I can click through. But then up here, you also have your location, your contact information, and your office hours. I would recommend taking these off completely. First of all, I'm assuming that your potential clients are nationwide, which means your location is actually irrelevant. Unless you're looking to serve local clients, I would actually take that off. Then over here, you have your contact information, your phone number, and your email. Which leaves a little bit of confusion. Do you want people to call you? Do you want people to email you? Or do you want people to use your scheduling link? My guess is that you want them to use your scheduling link, which means you do not need to provide a potential client with your remaining contact information. Current clients will have that. It should be part of your email signature. You do not need to have it on your website for people to get a hold of you that way because you really, really want them to use the link. And then your office hours, I would take off. I'm assuming based on these office hours, maybe you work a second job or for some reason have chosen not to work in the mornings or specific days of the week. But for someone who is just at the point of scheduling a consultation, that is not information that they need to have. If anything, that can make them more hesitant because you haven't set any parameters yet, and the time to do that is in a conversation. So when you say, I'm available 1 to 6 Saturday through Tuesday, it's very easy for someone to say, you know what, I'll find an advisor who is available all the time. Not that any of us are available all the time, but that's what new clients tend to expect. So I would take that off completely because you've already integrated that information into your Calendly link. Again, we have that pop up. So if I click to March, I can see that the only days that you take new consultations are Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. So I would go ahead and leave it at that. Other than the times that you are available for consultations, somebody at this point in the sales process does not need any other information about what time you're open, when you close, what days you don't work. They don't need it. So I would go ahead and take that off. And let's take a look at one more page here real quick, and that is your blog. So first of all, I love that you have a blog, and I can tell that you are actively blogging due to the dates on these. The one thing I would recommend here is that you go into your Wix blog editor and you take off this bottom section, the views, the comments, and the likes. Because of the amount of traffic that your website is getting, it can't help you. So when a potential client comes in here and they're clicking around in your site, they're taking a look at what's here, and they get to blogs with very few views, it can subconsciously send a message of either this isn't valuable or this isn't popular. And people like to do things that are popular and have value. So the odds of them clicking through to the blog is actually lower when you have something that says how many views if that number isn't high enough. So I would take that off because it's not helping you at all. I would also take off this login and sign up button unless you have a membership area. Otherwise, it's just taking up real estate and again, creating one more place for them to click that doesn't take them to any place that they need to go. So those would be my recommendations as far as what to do next. The next step I would take is to go ahead and change this first headline right here. Use this brilliant piece of copy right here and make that the first thing that people see. Then go ahead and expand that menu, add those additional pages, that about page, destinations page, and then the next best thing that you can do is to start working on your keyword list, to start writing that SEO focused copy. And of course, at the Savvy Travel Advisor, that is something that I do. So if you would like, you can just head over to the savvytraveladvisor.com and click on the schedule a consultation link on my website, and we can sit down and talk about your copy and what we can do for you to help make what is already a beautiful site work even better. Thanks.